Welcome back to the Stylish YouTube channel. In today's class we're going to learn how to make this asymmetric yoke blouse. Okay, it has this asymmetric yoke and then the bodice is also asymmetric with an overlap design on the bodice area. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So for this blouse we're going to start with a regular basic bodice. I have drafted mine already with a pencil, so I'm just going to run it through with us so that I can use a marker for it to be bolder. So you start with your shoulder. This is my shoulder line, and then from there I'm going to mark my neck width. The neck width is 3 inches for the front and depth is going to be around 3 inches as well. Then after that you're going to connect your neck measurement. So here I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I'll connect that to my shoulder as well, just like we normally do for our basic bodies. Then I'm going to mark my armhole measurement. So the armhole is 8.5 inches, and then that point I'm going to run a straight line. Then there I will take my bust measurement. The bust is 9.5 inches, and then on that point as well I'll go ahead and mark my armhole. Like I said, I'm just running through this. I've already drafted it earlier. So this is my waistline. This is the total length that I want for the blouse, 21 inches. I hope you can see that. So I want the blouse to be 21 inches in total, and then remember it has some styles on the hem. Okay, so for the first side I'm going to work with around 24 inches, and then for the total length of this blouse is going to be 28 inches. We'll understand all of this by the time we start modifying this basic body. So I'm just going to draw it. This is my first hem, this is going to be my second hem, and then this is where I'm going to stop drafting the basic bodies. Okay, so here now I'm going to mark my dart. So for the dart I'm marking 4 inch for my bust span, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'll make that into a straight line, and then on the waistline I'm going to take a dart of 1/2 inch on both sides. So I'm going to stop the dart on a little bit below my nipple point, and then I'm going to connect that just like this. So here now I just came up by 1 inch, and then I connected my dart legs. So this is my dart. So from there I'm going to take your circumference measurement. I already did my bust measurement, 9.5. So for the waist I'm working with a waist of 7.5 inches, and then for my hem I'm working with my hip measurement of 10.5. So after that now I'm going to go ahead and connect my side measurements. So like I said, I'm stopping the basic bodies here. We're going to treat these two other lengths separately later. So what you want to do first now is to get your tracing wheel. Make sure that your pattern is on fold when you are drafting this. You can see mine is on fold. So I'm going to get my tracing wheel, and then I'll trace out everything that I have here. So once you start tracing it, it's going to show on the other side. I have already traced mine, and then I'll go ahead and open this up, and then everything I have done here I'll duplicate it on this side as well. So you can see now that what I have here I have duplicated it on this side. We have the exact same thing on both sides. So now we're going to treat the neckline. So this body has a yoke, so I'm going to, and the yoke is kind of shifted. It's not the same on this side. It's like an asymmetric yoke. Is shifted towards one side. So what I'm going to determine is where I want the neck depth to be. So for me, this is my center front. You can see my crease line on my center front here. So what I'm going to do is determine how far I want it from my center front. So let me just label this part center front. So from that center front towards the side that you have chosen, I'm going to mark around 3 inches, okay, and then I'll mark it all the way to the hem. The line is important. That's why we're going to be separating the 2 sides of the bodice. So now I'm going to go ahead and make this into a straight line, as you can see. So now we have this straight line. So on that part, I'm going to mark the depth of the neck, the total depth that I want for this neckline. For me, I want it to be around 7.5 inches. So you can see I'm marking it on this new straight line that I created. So I'm going to be connecting this depth to around the armhole area to form the yoke. So it depends on what you want. You can just measure around your armhole and divide that by 2. But for me, from this shoulder point, I'll just come down by 4.5 inches, which is here. So I'll do that for the 2 armhole line. I've already done mine. I hope you can see that. So the next thing to do now is to grab a curved ruler and then connect from here to this point, and then you do the same thing for the other side as well. So I'm connecting from here, and then again get a nice curve, and then do the same thing for the other side. Sorry, my marker is kind of faint, so now this becomes my yoke. I hope you understand that. So now we're going to move to the hem. The hem is kind of asymmetric as well. That's why we have all of these different lengths. So I'm changing my marker because this is not working well. So on this side that is wide, that's the widest side. Remember, now this is small and this is the widest side. Okay, so like I said, the length is not going to be exactly this length where we stopped our first hem, because it's going to be like an inverted design. It's going to be longer at the center area, and then it just tapers towards the side. So for that, from here I came down by around 3 inches or 3.5 up to 4 inches basically. That's why I have this line. So now what I'm going to do now, at this center line, remember the 3 inches from the center front, I'm going to go ahead and connect from here to this hem that we had earlier. So I just want mine to be a little bit shorter on this side. You can connect directly to this hem, but for me, I'm going to go up by around 1 inch here again. Remember, the total length that I had for this was 21, so going up by 1 means that I have 20 inches on this side, because that's what I want. So now I'm going to grab the slightly curved side of my ruler and then connect from this center point here to this hemline. So now I'm connecting just like this. So you can see where I connected mine. So if you want to connect it on this actual hem points, you just place it like this. But I want it to be really showing so you can see. That's what I have there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect for the other side as well. So for the other side, the hem at the center is going to be longer than what we have on this side. So for that, again, from here I just measure down around 4 inches. So you can see I measure down 4 inches here, and then what I'm going to do is just to connect from here to this new hem. So for this one, because it's longer, the V is showing very well, so I decided not to go up by 1 inch. I just maintained what I have there. But the issue with this is that on this side you have to reconcile it at your back, because remember, you're going to sew the front and back together, so it's advisable to use the same length. That's if you don't want to give yourself stress when you want to join it. So if we're using the same length, so I'm just going to connect like this. Okay, but you can see I feel it's not going to show the V shape more. So what you can do again, if you want your V shape to show more, is to come down here by maybe 1 inch or 1.5 inches, and then you can extend this as well, so that you can have the same side seam as your back. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So here now you can come down here by another 1 inch. That's if you feel that the V that you want is not really showing very well, and then you reconnect just like this. So these are the scenarios that you can have to change your V shape. So I think I'm going to be going with this last one so that I can have the same side seam as my back. And then for this one again as well, I'm just going to extend it by 1 inch as well. Okay, so my length now has changed. Then I'm going to connect to the side. So I hope you can see that. So this is the shape that we have. So we have 3 patterns. This is going to be number 1, this is going to be the second one, and this is going to be the third one, and this is for the front. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my scissors and cut this out, and then we'll have the back as well. So the patterns are cut now. You can see this is our yoke, this is the second side, and this is the third side. Okay, so for this number 2, it's going to be overlapping on this number 3. So when I'm cutting, so it's going to sit on, it's not going to be sewn together like this, it's going to overlap just like this. So when I'm cutting it, I'll add a little allowance for that, so that I can have it lapping on this part. So please take note of that. So now we're going to cut this on our fabric. To cut your yoke with a different fabric from this part, so that the yoke can be pronounced. So for the back is quite simple, so I'm just going to run through it quickly. So for the back, I have drafted my back bodice like I explained. You can see what it looks like. So the multiplication we're going to do is just going to be the yoke at the back and the hem of the back. So for the yoke, I'm going to mark out 4 inches, just like I did, 4.5 inches, just like I did for the front. And then on that point, I'm going to connect to my yoke. So at the center back here, you mark your depth, but I have decided to maintain my armhole line for my depth, my chest line. So what I'm going to do now is to get a curved ruler and then connect from my neck depth to the armhole area. So here, this becomes the yoke for the back. And then the next thing is to, you can see I have exact same length that I have for the front, which was 21 inches. So you can see I have 21 inches for the length of the back as well. That was what I was explaining earlier, that your side seam has to be the same because you're going to join the front and back together. So for the back as well, for the shape that we have at the back, I'm going to come to the back here and come down by 2, 3, 4 inches depending on what you want. So I'm stopping mine at around 3.5 inches, and then with my curved ruler again, I'm going to connect to where my first hem stops, so that I can have this curved hem at the back. So here I'm going to take this into my seam allowance, and that is what I'm going to be doing for the back. So I'll cut this out as well now, so that I can cut some fabric. So this is the pattern for the back. I've cut it out. This is my zipper allowance, the yoke, and this is the lower part as well as the dart. So I'll go ahead and transfer this to my fabric now. So I've cut them on my fabric. I'm using this lemon for the lower part, and then remember that I did not add allowance to my pattern, so I added side seam allowance. Then you had allowance where you're going to be joining the yoke to the bodice as well. So this is 2 for the back, and then for the front I have marked out the 2. So I added this allowance for turning this part. Remember, you're going to hem it with what lining or whatever you want to use. So I added 1/2 inch to this side, and remember I said you're not going to join it together, it's going to be overlapping. That's why this side allowance is more. So after hemming with 1/2 inch here, I'll still have this 1/2 inch so that it can lap on it like this. So after that as well, I'm not going to be lining this because it's just for the purpose of this tutorial, but for yours you should cut your lining the exact same way we have cut this, so that you can use them to turn this side independently. But for me, I'm just going to be folding it inwards like this. So you just want it to be as neat as possible. So now when you're joining the lining to the main fabric on this side, you're going to suspend this. You can use a rope, but for this I'm going to be using my bias. You can use a cord for it as well. So I just want it to show at the tip here. So I'm using this black bias. I'll just tape it at the tip so that it can show at this tip here before I lap them on each other. So now I have cut out the yoke as well. So this is the yoke for the front. I use this black fabric for it, and this is the yoke for the back as well. So now the back is easy. All you just need to do is to go ahead and sew the yoke to the main bodice for the back. So I'll do that, and then you remember your dart points and hold your darts. So for the front, we're going to be sewing it step by step. So what you're going to sew first is this side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and join this side to this side. I'll hold the dart for the two sides as well. So after joining this side to this side, now I'm going to bring it back for us to see how to join this other side. I have joined the yoke to one side, and you can see that I tried to hem it inward. I just used my hemming gum to glue it down. So you're supposed to use your lining to turn it before sewing to your yoke. So you can see that my dart is sewn as well. So this is my dart line. So this is for this part. So for the other side as well, you're going to use your lining to turn it inward. You can see the facing there, and then I use this bias to pipe it, just like I explained. So now the way you're going to sew this, you can see that you have the allowance to sew it already here. So what you're going to do now is to flip it, and when you're sewing, you're going to leave that overlap before you start pinning. Remember, it has to lap on this by ½ inch. We added the allowance already. It has to lap on this part like this by ½ inch. So you can just place it like this so that you know where to turn it. So you're going to flip like this, and then you place your pattern like this to sew. So you can see. So I'll take it to the sewing machine now and pin it down and sew. So I'll just pin it first now that I have gotten how I want it to be before I go ahead to sew. And then for the back, I have joined the yoke to the main bodies as well, and then I held the dart for the back as well. So you can see that the dart for the other side is held too. So this is what it's going to look like. This is going to be underneath it, and this is going to lap on it just like this. Okay, so this is what I want. So this is the back. These are the two back panels. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and join this. So after joining it, I'm going to sew the side and the shoulder together. Okay, so I have gone ahead to sew it, and you can see how neat it is looking. You want it to be really neat as possible. Then I went ahead to sew my overlap together. You don't have to sew it, you can just use your buttons to tack it there, or I just sew it so that I can hold this down because I don't have enough buttons right now. So I did not sew it to the end. I just sew a little bit downwards, and then I stopped around here so that this part is going to just be opened like this. Then I sew my side seams together and my shoulder, and this is what the blouse looks like now. So you just go ahead and fix buttons to this side of the bodice. Then you fix your arm, your sleeve, whatever sleeve of your choice, and your blouse is ready after sewing in the zipper that you're going to use to sew. So you can see the back as well. You can see the design that we'll have at the back, and then you can see that the hem of the back is also not straight, it is stylish. So I will just do all of this now and take it to the mannequin so that I can see what it looks like. So this is what the blouse looks like on the mannequin. I just tagged some button on that left side of the design, and you can see the asymmetric yoke neckline. So this is what it looks like. So this part I did not sew it completely, just like I said. So the overlap is just going to be there, and it's just going to be opened like that. So you just fix any sleeve of your choice, and your blouse is ready. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful blouse with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.